Thank you all for joining today, this afternoon, to learn how you can save money when you electrify your ride. My name is Annika Alsborn. I'm with Cool the Earth. We're a nonprofit environmental organization with a mission to reduce carbon emissions and air pollution. And while we are big fans of walking, biking, public transit, and carpooling, preferably in an electric car or on an e-bike. With our Ride and Drive Clean collaboration, we work to advance a rapid and equitable transition to electric transportation. I'd like to thank Michelle from Cartelligent, our partner organization, for joining us today. And here's the agenda. So we're just doing these brief introductions here. We're going to do an EV flash sale overview. We'll talk about the two EVs and the different trim levels that are available for this flash sale. And then we'll show you how to sign up to participate in this flash sale that's going on through the end of this month. Then we'll have a Q&A. And that will be a Q&A more focused on just this flash sale, on the two EVs that we're offering, like very focused on that. After that, I'll do a rundown of the general incentives that are available, because there are other programs, there are lots of other programs here in California, even the federal tax credit. So I'll kind of go into detail about that. And then we'll do another kind of Q&A for the general stuff at the end. Launched in 2019, Ride and Drive Clean is a collaboration of nonprofit organizations, agencies, utilities, CCAs, cities, counties, schools, and businesses with a goal of greatly reducing carbon emissions by advancing the adoption of electric vehicles. So we're here to help people make their next car electric, an EV or an e-bike. We promote both. Really just getting out of gas cars is what we recommend. We realized early on that one of the biggest barriers to going electric is the initial cost of buying or leasing an EV. And that cost has really come down significantly, which is good to know over the past 4 or 5 years. So anyway, we teamed up with Cartelligent 5 years ago. Cartelligent is a highly regarded car concierge service for EV. So we've been doing these EV discount campaigns with them. Since they work with multiple dealerships, they're able to negotiate special pricing on certain models at certain times of the year. And that's when we run our campaigns. So that's why we're doing a flash sale right now on the Honda Prologue and the Volkswagen ID4. I'm very excited about these two cars. They're great cars. They've gotten great reviews. And just incidentally, in 2025, the average price of a new car in the United States is $48,000. So both of these models come in underneath the average price of a new car, and that's before all of these discounts. And that's up to $21,400 in discounts. So really amazing savings right now. I also want to just point out that, with the new administration, we're monitoring these discounts, minute by minute, hour by hour. We don't really know how long all of these discounts are going to be in effect. So what we do know is currently, today, these discounts are available, and we want to help as many people save money on an EV as possible. At this point, I'll turn over to Michelle Grant from Cartelligent. Take it away.
Thank you, Annika. Hi, I'm Michelle. I work at Cartelligent. I'm so happy to be here today, so thanks for including me. What we do is we work for you to find you the best fit car for your needs. And then we go to work negotiating the price of those cars so that you don't have to do it. So we are really your trusted advisor, here to make sure that we understand everything that you need. And then, the other side of that is that we go out and we do all the legwork. We work with the dealerships to find the car that you want and negotiate the price for you. Saves a tremendous amount of time and burden. And it's really fun. We're here to make the process just as fun as getting a new car. So I'm happy to talk about these two different cars today. First is the Honda Prologue, and the second is the Volkswagen ID4. So we have negotiated discounts on these two cars. We're waiving our Cartelligent service fee for these two cars. Of course, you can also, we can work with you on any car. It's just that these two cars are the cars that have the waived service fee this month. We can look at very inclusively to look at every potential savings that we can get you. This includes all of the federal tax rebates. Sometimes there's additional rebates for Costco. There's additional manufacturer rebates. So we can apply all of these for you. And like I said, this is available through the end of this month. So first, we'll take a look at the Honda Prologue. So the Honda Prologue, we have our discounted rate that we've already worked with the dealerships to get this for you. The amount of the discount depends on the trim level of the car. And then right now, this car, the Honda Prologue, has an amazing lease. So the lease money is applied directly to the deal, which is really nice because you don't have to be income qualified for that. And you don't have to turn in any paperwork and you don't have to wait for the rebate at tax time. You get it all applied up front to the car. If you are more comfortable financing the car, then you get a $2,500 finance rebate. And if you are more comfortable paying cash for the car, then it's possible, if you're income qualified, to get an additional $7,500 rebate off of the cash price. I just want to mention that that is something where you have to work with the dealership to apply that to the cash price. Looking at all of these, it's pretty clear that leasing is the winner here, saving you up to $17,400.
Sorry, yeah, I just wanted to clarify this a little bit. So there are three ways to buy a car. To get a car, you can either lease it, pay cash for it, or finance it. So let's just look at the three scenarios. So the exclusive discount that has been negotiated by Cartelligent for any of these three means of getting your car is $2,000 to $3,000, depending on the trim level. If you decide to lease it, in addition to that exclusive discount, is $17,400. And there are, depending upon if you're doing a trade-in, there may be an additional $1,000 off, depending upon the car that you're trading in. There are these like conquest and loyalty rebates as well. So that's right. How we get up to $21,400 for the Honda Prologue. So it's up to, let's say the $3,000 is the exclusive discount, $17,400 is the lease rebate, and then that potentially an additional $1,000 with the loyalty or the conquest. Now, if you were to pay cash for this and you qualify for the federal tax credit, which is the clean vehicle credit, you would still get $2,000 or $3,000 plus that $7,500 if your income qualifies. And that's $150,000 or less as a single person, or $300,000 or less if you file jointly. So in the best case scenario, if you're paying cash, you get that $7,500 clean vehicle credit plus the $3,000, so about $10,000 off. Now, if you decide to finance, you get both of those, and you also get the finance rebate of $2,500. So essentially, you could get either $12,000 or $13,000 off if you finance. And the nice thing about the clean vehicle credit is that starting in 2024, it's not actually applied to your taxes at tax time. It's an upfront rebate. So you get that immediately if you qualify for it. So it's like a down payment of $7,500. So what we can see when we add it up here, it looks like the lease deal is amazing right now. There are a lot of great lease deals right now. So, that's definitely a way to go. Okay.
All right. And then the Volkswagen ID4 is the second car this month that also gets the waived Cartelligent service fee. This one we've negotiated up to $6,500 discount on the car, depending on the trim level. And then you get additional incentives, which would be a $7,500 lease rebate, $10,500 cash rebate if you're paying cash in full, or $5,000 applied to financing.
So how do we do this? So basically, I'm actually going to go to our website. So the way to do this is to go to the Ride and Drive Clean. So Ride and Drive Clean is a nonprofit. We're sort of hosting or putting on this EV flash sale. Cartelligent is getting the cars. They're the ones that are, dealing with the dealerships and getting the cars. And so I'll just put in the chat, this is where you go to get started. So in order to take advantage of these exclusive discounts and to have your service fee waived, you go to this page. You can scroll down here, look at the two cars, all the details, and then this is where you sign up. So maybe you're just kind of like, I'm interested in EVs, but not now. You can just click no, put in your information and submit it. And then we'll just have your information the next time we do a discount campaign. And we try to do 4 discount campaigns a year. So quarterly, we tend to do one. I'm sure we'll have one, around Earth Day, if not one sooner than that, depending upon, we really don't know what the situation is with these discounts because of the new administration. So if you are ready to go, then you click the yes button here, put in this information. You can select which car you're interested in, the Honda or the Volkswagen, but if it's a different EV, you can click on that as well. And if you have any special notes, you can go ahead and put them in here before you submit. So here you might want to say, I'd like to trade in my car. This is the car I have, or, whatever you want to put in. You hit the submit button, and then our database talks to Cartelligent's database, and somebody from Cartelligent will get back to you within 24 hours. So that's how to participate. I think I just put that in the chat, and in general, the service fee is $595, but if you mention Ride and Drive Clean, for any car at any time, you get $100 off the service fee, so it's $495. And I do want to talk to you a little bit about the service fee. So not only are we offering these amazing discounts through Cartelligent, but getting a car through Cartelligent is a no-hassle car buying or leasing experience. And we get feedback from people every single day. Like, this is our first time going through Cartelligent. This was the best experience we've ever had. We will never go through a dealership directly again. People love Cartelligent. It's no hassle. Basically, you figure out what car you want, with your sales associate. If you're interested in the pricing that they're able to get back to you, then, you let them know. And then they'll bring the car, they'll deliver the car to one of their 4 locations, which is Sausalito, Walnut Creek, Menlo Park, or Irvine. And you come and pick it up, you sign all the paperwork there, and they'll do a little walkthrough of the car and kind of teach you the new features and such. So it's a really great experience, and yeah, we've just gotten amazing feedback about it. All right, so we're going to move on to Q&A. Looks like there might be some questions in the chat.
I see 2 questions about Cartelligent. I'll go ahead and jump in there. So normally our service fee is $595. And again, when you mention Ride and Drive Clean, you get $100 off. That's 20%. So for $495. For these 2 cars this month, we're offering our service for free. So that's a significant savings for these cars. And that applies, that's just working with Cartelligent. That applies to any way you decide that's best for you to pay for that car. It's not contingent on leasing or buying. So we're happy to extend that discount to anybody who mentions Ride and Drive Clean. And then can you please explain to someone who's never leased a car, what are the typical terms, down payment, et cetera? I think this is a great question. So when you buy a car, you pay for the car 100% upfront, whether you're paying cash or financing. When you lease the car, you're only paying for the amount of car that you're getting. So it's sort of similar to renting versus owning your home. Sort of like paying your housing on a month-to-month basis when you're renting, and versus when you own the home and you're paying for ownership over the long term. With leasing a car, you don't own the depreciation of that car. That depreciation is owned by the bank that's funding your lease. So this is kind of a nice way to get into the car without worrying about what the car is going to be worth in the future. When you buy the car in the future, you when you want to switch cars, you sell the car, and so you own that depreciation of the car. So this can work to your advantage, especially on cars that are depreciating ahead of the expected depreciation curve. So I think that's a great thing to keep in mind. On leasing a car, you only pay sales tax on the amount that you're using. So when you purchase a car, you're paying for all of the sales tax up front. This can be thousands of dollars depending on your tax rate. So again, leasing is another way of saving. Third, as we all know, cars require maintenance, and some of these cars require more maintenance and more expensive maintenance over time. When you're leasing a car, the maintenance on a new car is less expensive, and some leasing companies even include the first three, 1 to 3 services are included in that. And so that's also another tremendous savings. Are there any other mechanics? And then in terms of the amount down, I think that was the other part of your question. The terms of the lease are completely flexible, and we can help you understand and play out some scenarios. So one of the questions that we get frequently about leasing is, should I put a lot of money down or not? And the answer to that is it depends on what your goals are. So if your cash, your money is working hard for you, high yield savings or in investments, and you're earning more there and you don't want to touch that cash, then you can put less down and pay a little more each month. If you have a monthly budget in mind, then we can play around with the numbers to say, if you want to pay $400 a month, let's look at what that would take to on a down payment. Or if your budget is $200 a month, let's take a look at what that down payment would be to get you to that monthly payment. So really flexible there. We're happy to work through those scenarios with you to make sure you're comfortable with the payment plan. Does that answer all your questions?
I'm still a little confused about, like, how long am I signing up to lease a car? Is there any option to buy? Is there a discount if I buy it later? Does the lease apply to the purchase? I don't know. I don't understand how to understand the $17,400 lease rebate. Like, what does that mean? How does that apply? I don't
Sure.
get it.
Sure. So when you're leasing the car, the terms are generally flexible. So we can look at your time horizon. So sometimes certain manufacturers have, like a 13-month lease special, a 24-month lease special, 36 months or 39 months. Those are pretty common terms. So we can take a look at those and look at the manufacturers that are offering those. So then once you sign up for whatever that term happens to be, let's just say 3 years, at the end of 3 years or any time during that 3-year term, you can purchase the car. That amount is spelled out in your lease contract. It's not negotiable. So then if you're interested in buying out the car, one of the things that we can help with is running the numbers to see, are you potentially overpaying for the car at any point during the lease? Like I said, some of these cars depreciate faster than predicted. So when you buy the car, you want to make sure that you're not paying over fair market value for that. So that's another service that Cartelligent offers. when we're working together, we'd be happy to look at those numbers for you.
Okay.
And then I think your question is, how are these rebates applied to the lease? These rebates, they basically decrease the amount that you're financing, right? So if you take a number, you say over 3 years, the cost of this car is going to be $20,000. The rebates lower that total cost of the car. That's a very simplified explanation, just for the sake of time here. I'm happy to get into details and show you what that looks like when we work together. Yes. Okay, let's see, only new cars. Is there a minimum amount of years? There's different, how long? I think we looked at all of those. What determines the value of a leased vehicle? It's called the residual value, and that's spelled out in the lease contract. That is the predicted value of the car at the end of the term, given the number of miles. So if you are in a 3-year lease term for 10,000 miles per year, somebody in the manufacturer's finance department says, okay, based on 3 years and 30,000 miles, we predict that this car is going to be worth X at that time. And so that becomes your residual value. What is the process to end the lease? At the end of the lease is, let's say, for example, the lease is 36 months, which is 3 years. At the end of the lease, you can simply bring the car back to Cartelligent and we will handle the lease return process for you. It's pretty simple. I have a friend whose battery life is rapidly declining. Is battery function included? Sorry, I jumped here. Let me see, where did that question go?
Yeah,
so usually
I'll take this one because it's more, EV related. So and I've sort of been answering it in the chat. So every EV has a federal warranty of 8 years or 100,000 miles for the EV battery specifically. So and I put in a couple things. So typically, I mean, I know some people, this is kind of a misnomer about EVs. People think that you have to replace the EV battery, and that is typically not the case. It's very rare that you would have to replace an EV battery. The EV battery is going to last at about 80% of its full capacity for 10 to 15 years. So, and we're seeing even longer on some EVs that have gone, 200, 300,000 miles already. That there's some battery degradation, but it doesn't really, because the range of EVs is so high now, typically between 250 and over 300 miles of range, it doesn't really impact your day-to-day driving. It just means that if you go on a road trip, you may have to stop a little bit more frequently. So, I mean, I'll give an example of, somebody, this is kind of an extreme example, but somebody who comes to our webinars typically bought a 2011 Nissan Leaf, and it had only 80 miles of range. He was still driving it this year. It had 45 miles of range yet still. And so this is a really old car, and he uses it for his round the town driving. So these cars, the battery is degrading a bit, but not to an extent where it's life-changing and you have to get rid of the car or replace your battery. Yeah. Okay, so I see 2 more questions about Cartelligent. So does Cartelligent help figuring out the cost after you've already leased a car? Yes, we can help you. If you have a copy of your current lease contract, we can take a look at that for you and help determine what is the best strategy for you, either getting out of the lease or if it makes sense to buy the car. We can help you look at those numbers. And then your daughter is interested in a plug-in hybrid. Yes, we can definitely help with any car from any manufacturer. All you have to do is mention Ride and Drive Clean and you will get the 20% discount on our service fee.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
These are all great questions, and I'm always learning more about leasing every time I do one of these presentations with Cartelligent. So thank you, Michelle. Are there any other questions specifically about this EV flash sale that's going on now, just through the end of this month? I don't see anything else in the chat. So I'm going to go on and, oh, I do see a question. What is early returning fee? Michelle, do you want to?
Yes. So anytime you lease a car, you're signing up to lease the car for the entire term of the contract. If you need to get out of the lease or want to get out of the lease early, we can help you take a look at what that potentially might cost you. Again, if you are in it for a certain term, let's say 3 years, the bank is expecting you to pay for every monthly payment for that entire term. If you have some life circumstances that make you think that you need to get out of that car, we're happy to look at that for you and let you know what we think might be a good way to do that.
Oh yeah, a rough monthly payment for the Honda Prologue with 0 down.
We can definitely work with you on that. Just reach out to Cartelligent. Let us know the best way to get in contact with you. And
actually, just sign up on our website on the link that I just put in there. That's the first place to go. Yeah.
And then Jack specific, I let Michael know that you would like to talk to him, and he has a copy of your contract, so he's happy to talk to you about that.
Okay, so I'm going to continue on with the rest of my presentation. And Michelle, are you able to stay on a little longer? Okay, great. So, and feel free to keep asking questions of Michelle or any Cartelligent oriented questions, as we go along here. So, although early EV drivers paid a high premium for electric cars, today's EV drivers often save money. And here are a few reasons why. It costs much less to fuel an electric car. Fueling a gas car can be 2 to 5 times more expensive than fueling an EV, depending upon where and when you charge it. Electricity prices, while they did go up a bit last year, tend to be more stable than gas prices, as we've seen a lot of fluctuation in gas prices over the past couple of years. We don't really know how that's going to look in the next year. In addition, maintenance costs are 40% lower for EVs. It's basically adding windshield wiper fluid and rotating your tires. So very little maintenance. EVs are, made up of like 20 moving parts, whereas gas cars have like 20,000 moving parts. So they're very simple cars. So I'll talk a little bit more about some of the rebates. So Michelle went over, a lot of the different rebates that are available for those cars specifically, for the Honda Prologue and for the Volkswagen ID4. So I'll just go over these programs more in general here. So there is the federal Clean Vehicle Tax Credit that is available as a rebate at point of sale. So it can be used as a down payment. Currently, it's all of the cars that qualify for $7,500. And I will give you a list of all the cars that qualify for that. This is, there's no tax liability required. So that's really great if you're retired or if you don't have a high income in the last year or this year. So it's going to be applied in 3 different ways: to a new EV for purchase, to a leased new EV, or to a pre-owned EV. So for a new EV, it's $7,500 for a few EVs, but there are requirements. There are income requirements for this, and there are requirements on the cars, where they're made, and all this stuff. I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. So you can lease a new EV, and this is what Michelle was really great at showcasing what it's like to lease the Honda Prologue or the Volkswagen ID4. Here we're saying up to $7,500, but there are all sorts of additional discounts. And as we saw, if you lease a new EV, it can be up to $21,400 for the Honda Prologue and up to $14,000, I believe, for the Volkswagen ID4. And then this federal tax credit, clean vehicle credit, is also available for pre-owned EVs. Cartelligent only works with new EVs, but some people get pre-owned EVs either through eMotion Autos or through other dealerships or on Craigslist or whatever. That's available for up to $4,000. I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Then there are utility and CCA incentives, and that's what I think your name is Narisa Wong. We were talking about earlier, like the Monterey CCA is offering a special discount. We know if you get your electricity from Peninsula Clean Energy, Silicon Valley Clean Energy, Marin or MCE Clean Energy, they also have discount programs. And many of these are income qualified and they stack with these other incentives. PG&E also has a pre-owned EV rebate. So if you get your bill from PG&E, anybody can get $1,000 off of a pre-owned EV. There are no income qualifications, and based on your income, you might be able to get $4,000 from PG&E. So these are stackable. So for example, if you want to get a pre-owned EV, you could, if your income qualifies for the pre-owned for the federal tax credit, that's $4,000. And then if it qualifies for the PG&E, that's another $4,000. And then if it qualifies for Peninsula Clean Energy or MCE or Monterey Clean Energy, that might be an additional amount. So those are stackable. There's another grant program that I'll just mention briefly. I'm not going into detail. It has some pretty hefty income limits, but it's called Clean Cars for All. And that's if you can actually retire a car that's 2007 or older, then the Air District will give you a grant for up to $12,000 to put down as a down payment for an EV. It could be for a lease or purchase for new or pre-owned. So that's a very special program. It takes about 4 to 6 months to get that state grant, but I can answer more questions about that later. Yeah, so we have the federal clean vehicle credit, then we have these utility or CCA incentives, and then we have our EV flash sale and our discount campaigns that we put on with Cartelligent. These are some ways you can go to the driveclean.california.gov website to find out. It's like kind of a savings calculator. So you can find out which rebates you qualify for, because it really depends on who provides your electricity, where you live, and your income, and how many people are in your household. So this is a way to kind of get your specific, how much do you qualify for? So I wanted to talk a little bit more about the clean vehicle credit if you want to purchase a new EV. So the credit amount is actually $7,500 for all of the EVs that qualify, and they will be listed on the next slide. This is for purchasing or financing a new EV. The final assembly is in North America. These are the vehicle price limits. These are the income limits. And yeah, it's good to know it could be the current or prior year tax returns. There are also some critical mineral and battery component requirements as well. And that's why not all EVs qualify. Cartelligent is working only with dealerships that are signed up with the IRS to process this tax credit, this upfront tax credit. You do need to have a seller's report when you leave the transaction, because when you file your taxes, you don't apply this credit when you file your taxes, but you do need to submit the seller's report. And these are the cars that qualify currently for the federal tax credit for $7,500. And again, this can be applied as an upfront rebate. So that's $7,500 if you purchase or finance a new EV. The website that I've listed here in blue is where you go to find out. I mean, this changes all the time. We added a bunch of cars this year. A bunch of cars got dropped from the list because of the requirements from last year. So this is from as of today. But yeah, this fueleconomy.gov, that's where you go to find out which cars qualify. So a little bit more about the clean vehicle credit for a pre-owned EV. I noticed that somebody mentioned they were interested in getting a pre-owned EV. So here are some of the requirements. 30% of the sale price up to $4,000. It is available as a point of sale rebate at a dealership. It has to be, the transaction has to be done at a dealership. So you can't get this credit if you buy from a friend or if you buy from Craigslist or something. It has to go through a dealership, and those dealerships have to be signed up with the IRS. So the income caps for pre-owned are half of the amount as the income caps for new EVs. And then the EV cannot cost more than $25,000, has to be at least 2 years old. So that means now that we're in 2025, it has to be a 2023 model or older. And then just a little information about the PG&E pre-owned EV rebate. So as long as you get a bill from PG&E, you qualify. Just a little bit of information. And I will be sending a follow-up email today with the PDF of this presentation so you can take a look at all this information on your own. So next steps, really, sign up on the Ride and Drive Clean EV sale page. I'm going to drop that in the chat in case you haven't signed up yet. A Cartelligent sales associate will reach out to you within 24 hours. This is a great time to go test drive the EVs that you're interested in so that when you talk to Cartelligent, you know exactly what you want. We have more webinars going on all the time, and you're welcome to sign up for more. We have one if you recently bought an EV or if you are very close to the purchasing of an EV. We also have a webinar coming up soon. Let me just get that events page up here. It's coming up on next Tuesday. It's called What to Expect as a New EV Owner. So if you're thinking about, what's my charging setup going to be like at home? How am I going to go on a road trip? You're welcome to come to that. I invite you to come on Tuesday. People who are very close to getting an EV or people who have recently gotten an EV, typically come to this webinar and, they can ask some deeper questions. It's a little bit of a deep dive on EVs. Yes, I will talk a little bit about eMotion Auto. So while we partner with Cartelligent for our new EV discount campaigns, we partner with eMotion Autos for pre-owned campaigns. So we've been working with them for about a year. I got an EV through eMotion Autos last year. And so it's an interesting process. It's, if you want to get a pre-owned EV, you can go to, there are a couple of ways to do this. You can go through like Craigslist or Nextdoor, or, I don't know if Nextdoor sells Craigslist or, online, you can find one. You can also go to a dealership. I also have a Volkswagen e-Golf. I got that through a dealership. So I just went to the dealership. I saw that it was like a pre-certified EV. I was happy about that. I bought it there. So the nice thing about the advantage of going to a dealership is that they have the cars on the lot. You can test drive them. They are there. You can purchase them. You can see what they look like. So eMotion Autos is a little different. So what they do is they work with you. They're EV experts, really. When you go to most dealerships, they typically don't know much about EVs. But eMotion Autos, they're EV owners. They've been EV owners for many, many years, and they're actually retired two guys who met at Stanford. They were researchers at Stanford University in the 80s. They've been working for, in the utility business and a clean energy business their whole lives. And as in their retirement, they wanted to do something to help people get EV. So they're really great guys. And so the way it works is they help you find the right EV for your lifestyle. So if you live in an apartment and you don't have a place to charge, for example, they will make sure you get an EV that has a good amount of range, and they'll look to find out that you have charging available close to where you live or close to where you work. So they really want to make sure that you get a car that works for your lifestyle. Then, you've kind of narrowed it down a little bit. You might go do some test driving on your own of different cars. And then when you have a better idea of what you want, you let them know. So in my case, I let them know I wanted a gray car. I didn't want anything older than 2021. I didn't want anything more than 25,000 miles. I didn't want any body damage. I wanted it to be a 4.5 out of 5 or higher. So I sort of gave them all of my constraints and I said, this is the most I want to pay for it. So then they take that information and they're like, we will go to auction. So then they go to auction to find that car for you. And the advantage of going through Emotion Autos and going through auction is that there are so many EVs available on auction versus if you go to your local dealership, you might see 5 EVs that are available for sale. This way you have a much greater chance of getting a car that you want, the right color, the right, all of the right trim levels and everything like that. So so they go to auction and then they get back. And actually, once you've determined these are my constraints and limits, this is exactly what I want, then you give them a $500 deposit. And that's really for their time. They're going to go to auction and find that car for you. If they find that exact car that you want for you at or under the price that you're looking for, they'll get back to you and say like, hey, I found this car. They'll send you pictures. Do you want this one? And, you say yes, they bring the car over. Then they take it to their mechanic and they make sure there are no issues with the car. They, of course, are getting all sorts of car reports in advance to make sure, they want to be very transparent with everyone. We all want to make sure, like, has this car been in a crash before, or has there, what are the issues with the car? They just very transparent. They fix up the car, make sure the tires are good, and then they will deliver the car to you in the Bay Area somewhere. So typically, they are marking up their cars like somewhere between 5 and 8%, and that's really just to cover their own costs. Versus if you were go to a dealership, it's more like 15 to 20%. So you're already getting a really good deal. When we don't have a current discount campaign with them, but when we do our discount campaigns with them, they will also offer an additional 12-month or 10,000-mile warranty. So they stand behind all the repairs that they're having done, making sure this car is in good order. So it's a great buying experience. It takes a little while. It's not, I think you can do it in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks or so. They're also experts on all the incentives. And they're signed up with all of the different, they're signed up to process all of the rebates upfront and incentives upfront. And we plan to do 2 discount campaigns with Emotion Autos if you're interested in a pre-owned. And we hope to do 4 discount campaigns with Cartelligent for new EVs. Yeah, and so it's very interesting when you sort of look at, like, sometimes it's advantageous to get a new one just because of all of these great incentives that are going on right now. It might even be a better value to get a new EV. Or to have to weigh which incentives you qualify for and how that all works for you. Elias, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I could probably get a copy of a prior webinar to you. We have that webinar for, what to expect as a new owner coming up on Tuesday. And the thing is, the information changes quite frequently. So that's why we don't want to hold on to old webinars too much and why we're constantly doing webinars. Yeah, probably we'll do one in the spring. I'm guessing, Nerissa, that we'll do one like around Earth Day. We did one last year around Earth Day. We'll probably do one in the spring and one in the fall. Will the 2007 or before vehicle grant be cash that I can still receive after purchasing or leasing? It's only credit that goes toward EV purchasing. Yeah, for the 2007. You can apply this. Here, let me go to the website so I can give you the information. Clean Cars for All. Here's the website for Clean Cars for All, so you can find out all about how it works. And then there is also a new rebate. It's about to launch in Q1. It's called the Drive Clean Assistance Program, and it's a state rebate, so it will not go away. And it is intended for lower income folks And you don't have to retire a car. While Clean Cars for All is a retire and replace program, the Air District is trying to get, high emissions cars off the road and replace them with clean, zero emissions. The Drive Clean Assistance Program, you don't have to turn in a car, and it's available for $7,500. It may be available in Monterey at this point, but let's see. Not in the Bay Area yet, but it should be, I think it's March 25th. Let me see. I was just looking it up the other day. So there are some. Okay, so I will put that one in here. It's for income qualified California residents in certain areas. And if you, here, I'll just put that general link so you can find out about like income eligibility in here. And I was just looking at when it's being launched in your area. I'm not seeing that quite yet. EV information, ECAP eligibility, maybe it's here. I'll keep looking for it. I know that it will be offered in the Bay Area sometime this quarter. And again, I think it's March 25th or so. This has the incentives and eligibility information. Yeah, Jing, I will let you know that if they, with Clean Cars for All, you can also get an e-bike. And so they will give you a grant for up to $7,500. And whatever you don't use for the e-bike, you can put it on a separate card and use it for public transit. So if you want to, retire your car, your gas car that's still running, that still passes the smog check, and it can be an EV or an e-bike. Or you could just get $7,500 on a card for public transit. A couple more questions. Unfortunately, James, we don't work like one-on-one with people. I mean, I would recommend maybe reaching out to eMotion Autos. We don't have the capacity to work one-on-one, but if you have any questions, you're welcome to email me and I can kind of walk you through it here, a little bit and give you some support for sure. Yeah, for the Drive Clean Assistance Program, it's $7,500. Income eligibility is quite, let's see. I'm going to share it right now. Yeah, so your income has to be less than $45,000 as a single person, less than $93,000 with a family of 4. Yeah, and you can only get one of these rebates in your lifetime. So for example, we used to have a California state rebate called Clean Vehicle Rebate Project. I got that for my 2 first EVs. It was like $2,000 from the state. Since I received that, I wouldn't be able to qualify for this Drive Clean Assistance Program. But if you're getting your first EV, it should be no problem. 1 per household for the lifetime. I'm just trying to see where, this talks a little bit more about the scrap and replace. And I'm really trying to, they'll also give you some funding if you qualify for this to get a level 2 charger at home, which is great. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Yeah, so we really don't know what's going to happen with the tax credit. So one of the reasons the lease deals are so great right now is because the way leases work is like the banks basically own the lease. So the banks are actually taking a commercial credit since they are a business. So they get $7,500 commercial credit for the tax rebate on any EVs. There are no requirements like there are on like when you purchase an EV. So they're getting $7,500 off. And if that bank will pass that on to the dealership, and then if the dealership chooses to pass that on to the consumer, they do, then you can get that benefit. So we've heard that that's a very easy thing for the new administration to get rid of. It's like a click of the button. You don't need congressional approval. But with the tax credit for purchase, whether it's a purchase of a new or a pre-owned EV, it does take congressional approval. And we just don't know what's going to happen. We're reading all the articles all the time. Well, we've heard lots of words about the tax credits are going to be cut altogether. We also know that a lot of the EV investments are really helping a lot of Republican states. There are a lot of a lot of manufacturers in red states. There are a lot of battery manufacturers also. And so a lot of governors, a lot of states are like, wait, we want to keep this business going because it's helping us provide jobs to our people. So this is what we're just kind of wondering how we're going to move forward. I will note, I spoke with somebody last week who lives in Beijing, and he said he uses like the equivalent of Uber and Lyft. He said he has not been in a non-electric car in the last 4 months. It's almost all EVs in China. Like 50% of all cars being purchased in China are EVs. We're seeing this, like other countries are just like Norway is like 90% of all cars are EVs. So it would be sad if we don't move in this direction because I feel like this is the progressive, innovative way to go. And if we lose this momentum that we've created, I think that would be a shame. And if we want to be cutting edge, we got to kind of keep moving forward on the clean energy, it feels like. And not to speak of what the world is going to be like for future generations, which is the mission of, why we're in this for our nonprofit mission. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming. I see we're at the top of the hour. I will stay on as long as there are questions. Just want to thank you all for your interest. I hope you've all signed up with Cartelligent or, reached out to Emotion or something. Again, I'll be sending a follow-up email. Feel free to respond to me if you have any questions. And if you just want to hang out, I'm here as long as you want to ask